Grace of Monaco. So Grace of Monaco opened at the Cannes Film Festival, and a
scary place to open, you would think. Grace of Monaco, just along the coast and all that.
Yeah, I know. But it opened, and it opened to universal derision. There was in theatre. There's this phrase, not since Carrie, which because Carrie the musical was such a catastrophe. When Grace of Monaco happened, the phrase "worse than Diana" was being rolled out royally. And now we reviewed Diana on this programme, and my feeling about it was Diana was rubbish. But it wasn't the worst film I'd ever seen. It was just rubbish. It was just like a TV movie. And the problem with it was actually that it wasn't catastrophically rubbish. It was just kind of ridiculously well behaved and had all that stuff about, can you really, all that nonsense. So in the case of Grace of Monaco, which is directed by Olivier Dahan, who previously made La Vie en Rose, okay? La Vie en Rose was the Edith Piaf biopic, although as he keeps saying, it's not a biopic. He doesn't make biopics. He makes films that are about people's lives, but they're not biopics. He says that actually he takes all his inspiration from himself. He didn't particularly research Grace of Monaco. He researched himself. So you go, yeah, well, actually, that makes a lot of sense in the case of this. So what it means is...
How can you research yourself?
Well, exactly. Well, in the case of La Vie en Rose, the thing it was most famous for was the fact that World War II just didn't happen. I mean, it had this kind of magpie structure in the middle of which World War II didn't happen. And then when the DVD came out, there was an excised scene, which was World War II, in which somebody ran down the street with a baguette and a couple of Nazi officers walked past them. I mean, this is, So anyway, he's not particularly interested in political history. He's not actually particularly interested in fact. He's more interested in
himself,
in ideas. So he's described this thing. He's saying it's a fictional tale, but based on real events, inspired by real events, all that stuff, about a modern woman attempting to reconcile her life and her family and her commitments, blah, 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 blah. So the story as told on screen with, shall we say, only the most passing of references to fact, which, it's not a documentary, as he said, it's not a documentary. Yeah, absolutely. Got that, Olivia. Is Grace Kelly, finishes her film work, marries Prince Rainier, becomes Princess Grace of Monaco, and things are not entirely happy. And then all this bad stuff's going on. France, according to the film, France basically blockades and wants to invade Monaco because Alfred Hitchcock has said to her, you know what, I'd like you to come back to acting and do Marnie for me. Also, there's some economic stuff going on around in the background, but that's the way that it comes across the screen, is essentially that France is cross about Alfred Hitchcock. Anyway, here's a clip with Alfred Hitchcock attempting to persuade Grace Kelly to leave all this hell behind her and return to the screen in Marnie.
So who's the leading man?
Oh, I don't know. Cubby Broccoli's just made a spy movie with some Scottish fella he's raving about. We go into production in spring, and Universal will pay you $1 million.
Well, it's not about the money, Hitch.
It's going to be the role of a lifetime, Gracie.
Do I look that unhappy?
You look tired. Where's Rainier?
We rarely see each other. He works a lot. We've prepared a room at the Palace for you. You'll stay, won't you?
I have to get back to L.A.
Oh, please.
I'm sorry, I left Evan alone with Cary Grant, and goodness knows what they've done to my Bird script.
How is Carrie?
Carrie's great. But his wife still sticks pins in your effigy every night. You're still an artist, Gracie. Don't forget it.
Hitch. I'm fine.
Yeah, right. So Roger Ashton Griffiths as Hitch, all stomach, chin and elongated vowels, because that's how we do Hitchcock. Meanwhile, you have Tim Roth playing Prince Rainier as kind of somewhere between a Reservoir Dog and Dean Martin. You kind of half expect him to sort of burst into karaoke hits. You have Robert Lindsay as Onassis making rude joke, actually a rude joke which I can't repeat on the air at this time of day. You have Parker Posey as Madge, who is the sort of slightly, well, you're meant to think that she's sinister, but is she basically doing pantomime. I mean, doing Mrs. Danvers, doing this kind of pantomime. So everybody's performance is the most, thumbnail cranked up, over-cranked. It is like watching a collection of pantomime performances. In the middle of it all, you have Nicole Kidman. They do this thing at the beginning of it. Remember at the beginning of Diana, the camera follows her for ages, right? For ages, don't see her face. And this is similar. That's pretty much the way this opens. Camera follows her. Oh, yes, look from behind. Yes, camera follows her offset. And then she turns around and you go, wow, that's Nicole Kidman. That's who it is. The whole of the film is done at this register, which is kind of infantile beyond belief. You start ending up wondering whether what's going on is that Hahn seems to be sort of making all these references to old kind of like rear projection Hollywood, because at the beginning you see, you know, she's finishing her last shots of High Society, whatever it is, and then while all the stuff that's going on in Monaco, you look at scenes and you go, okay, is it that this is incredibly creaky, or is it that actually he's paying homage to a bygone age of Hollywood in which conversations on screen were held in? You think, I can't figure out whether it's homage or just rubbish, and actually the answer is it's probably both. There are unbelievable, I mean, literally slack jaw moments in which, for example, the underlying premise of the script is this: there is something really fearsomely noble about tax evasion. And actually, if we could all just believe in that, because the whole point is the French have blockaded Monaco because Monaco has become a tax haven, and France has been involved in the Algerian war, which is kind of, you know, alluded to somewhere in the background. And France wants Monaco to pay its taxes. And there are these moments when, for example, you know, Princess Grace gets up and does these speeches about, well, you know, some people may think that what we do is bad, but I believe in fairy tales. And Charles de Gaulle goes, oh, all right then. And, I mean, it is at a dinner at which he incidentally wasn't there. And Hahn has said these wonderful things. He said, yes, de Gaulle wasn't at the dinner, but I need him to be there for my stage. So essentially what you're saying is, right, there is a vague historical background, but you've decided to throw all that out of the window. And the film opens with this, you know, this curly thing about the idea of my life as a fairy tale is itself a fairy tale, and then proceeds to be the most preposterous fairy tale imaginable, whilst telling you this is the story behind the fairy tale. And there are wonderful things in you read interviews with him in which he says, well, I was trying to make the story more mature, more grown up, and really, because you've managed to infantilize it beyond belief. It is like, you know, everyone appears to be playing in pantomime. Poor old Nicole Kidman. I mean, at least in La Vie en Rose. See, the funny thing, I mean, when we reviewed La Vie en Rose, I likened it to spending 2 hours in a French theme pub. And that is what his direction is like. It's like, you know, it's all right, everything all over, but there's no coherence. There's nothing in Grace of Monaco that ever makes you think, I am getting under the skin of any real person. What you think is, this is a completely fanciful piece of tosh that every now and then has these ideas that actually it's talking about something that is real, and the director seems to think it's real. And Nicole Kidman, bless her, is doing her very best. You know, she's really trying to, and Hahn spends his whole time with his camera pressed like right close into her face, you know, right close up on her eyeballs and right close up on her nose, and it's just like, back off, you know, leave the poor woman alone. The film is your fault, not your fault. The film is the director's fault. It's not Nicole Kidman's fault. I mean, she's not responsible for what's wrong with it. The script is utterly preposterous. Everyone appears to be doing this, you know, let's just do everything as if we're doing a kind of, you know, end of the pier Christmas show. All the objections to it, like, you know, the descendants of the real life protagonists have all said it's a total farce. Yeah, it is a total farce. There's been a falling out between the director and Harvey Weinstein about their preferred cut. No cut of this would be any better or any worse. The only way you can make it worse is to just cut it all out and make it into a short rock video, which is what it kind of, I mean, it does. It looks like the outtakes.
Who would be doing the soundtrack?
You too, I imagine. Yeah, and it'll be a song by Bono called Pay Your Taxes. Oh, hang on. Stop me if you've heard this one. So, I mean, it's remarkable in as much as it, you know, on an aesthetic level, you look at it thinking, is this rubbish or is it homage? I think it's rubbish. On a history level, it's absolutely absurd. On a political level, it's, yeah, great, tax evasion, woo! If only we could believe in the fairy tale of paying 0% taxes. And on a performance level, everyone is just doing, wah, you know, I'm Alfred Hitchcock, I'm Prince Rainier. It's just like, no, and you sort of want to go and see it now, don't you? Yeah, but the worst thing about it is the way that I've just described it makes it sound, I mean,
quite entertaining.
It is worse than Diana, but it's not more fun than Diana. It's just rubbish.